We'll get started here. Friends and grasshoppers, this is the Formless Podcast, episode number 153, with me, Dustin, and my good friend of Kung Fu Conversations and Red Forest Chinese Boxing, Mr. Randel Davis. How are you, sir?
I'm so good, dude. I feel like your other co-host at this moment.
You are. I was thinking this morning as I was kind of like getting my last minute notes together, 4 or 5 episodes, and
yeah.
Outside of you, everyone else that's done that many episodes has been a member of the school. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty
cool. I feel like family. Well, I'm coming out there to teach, so I feel like family.
It's we were just talking about this the other day. It's like it's coming up like close. You know, September's right around the corner. We got just a couple of months left, and we're going to hit it, and it's going to be fun.
Awesome.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Awesome.
I prepared a quote and I didn't read it. Tell me if you've heard this one. Greet what arrives, escort what leaves, and rush upon the loss of contact.
Okay. So I use that, and we use it in a little bit of different parlance.
Okay.
Stop what comes, follow what goes, and then counter force lost. So if you have a bridge, and somebody tries to chamber, that bridge is the counter force. So counter force lost, rush in. Right? Because in Wing Chun, we always have, remember the cars that we had as kids that you'd pull the car back?
Oh, yeah.
And then it would go forward. And then you could also put a piece of cardboard and it would stop the car, and you'd lift the cardboard up and the car would still go.
Yep.
Well, we always have something that's called forward intention. And so if my fist is that car and my hand is stopping it and I remove the hand shoots forward. So yeah, very good, very good. So those are from Wing Chun's Kuen Kuit, or the laws or the ways of the fist. The Kuen Kuit.
So when I was looking up this quote, they attributed it to Ip Man, and I don't know. I don't know.
It's not. It's for. Here's what it is. So it is for the system of Wing Chun. So he might have. I'm sure he said it once.
He probably
did. Yeah, but
he wasn't the originator of that.
No. Whoever came up with Wing Chun integrated these principles. It's kind of like if you had an operating system for your computer, right? Because if you're taught a systematic approach to Wing Chun, the system has tons of variation. Like one of our things that we're going to talk about is one hand and 5 different functions, right?
Yeah.
And then if one hand can do that, you could probably take that with all 108 hands of Wing Chun, and then you're dealing with a really large number. Wow. And it's like, how do you start to organize all those numbers? Or if I looked at it like I have 45 apps on my phone, right? And some of them actually talk to each other. And so that is a link or an integration. So how do I start dealing with all of these different things? Well, that's what the operating system or the Android operating system does. It is the overall arcing system that runs all the different apps and still leaves it to be a phone and a texting device, as well as a microcomputer. So the Kuen Kuit and Wing Chun functions a little bit like an operating system. So you don't fall in love with all the leaves, and you can still get to the root and the functions of the system itself.
And excuse me for being a noob, but is the Kuen Kuit, is that what you said? Kuen
Kuit?
Is that
like your Kuit?
Yeah, is that like a manual or a book, or is that just like a set
you can have it written down, but it's more like theories is good. Probably operating systems or operating systems.
Almost like a how-to manual.
More like So I was talking to my friend Sifu John Rubio about this, and he's a very good cook, as well as a lot of other things. And think about it this way: what would be more important? Would it be more important to, let's just say you wanted to learn like 3 or 4 different ethnic styles, right? You wanted to learn French cooking. You wanted to learn Chinese, maybe something from Indonesia, like a certain region.
Okay.
And then maybe classic Americana. Most people would delve into the different styles and what made up the styles, which is super important. But if you move even further back, do you know how to use temperature? Do you know how to read measurements? Do you know how to use a pan versus a pot versus an induction oven versus, once you understand all those basic functions, then you can, chef's knife, Perry knife, the Chinese vegetable knife versus they have a really cool version for, meating and butchering. Mm-hmm. So all of those different things are wildly important. And so if you start learning the instruments and temperature and all these other things, then you can start to learn the different cultural styles of cooking much faster. Because no matter what culture it comes from, some of them do have specific cookware. But if you understand heat and how to read your wok, your pot, your saucier pan, doesn't matter. If you know how to do certain ways to hold one knife, and you can use your knife for parrying, butchering, butter knife, whatever it may be, all those different things. So instead of having a bunch of separate thoughts in your head, you have this overall arcing operating system. Now you can cook Chinese food. Now you can cook Korean food. Now you can cook Indonesian food, because you understand that they all, if it's cooked, then it's dealing, is it open flame? Is it, all those things. So it is moving further back from application and more into principle and function.
Okay.
And that's how I can go into a school that might be Kempo and still teach them something. I don't have to just teach Wing Chun, right? It will be Wing Chun, but I can see, hey, show me a couple of your drills. Show me why you love them. Show me a couple you don't like. And why don't you like them? See if I've got something in my bag that's similar to the stuff that you don't like. And maybe I can throw a little bit of my sauce on it, and you could put that sauce on your. There's a food reference again.
Yeah,
you could put that reference.
Tex-Mex.
That's exactly right. I just had a young man, Angel, come up, and his maybe future in-laws live in Boulder, and he lives in Oklahoma, and he's been studying the Beijing line of Chen style Tai Chi under Nabil Rene. He does it online, and then once or twice a year, he flies out to Philadelphia for a few days and does hours and hours of Chen Tai Chi, gets adjustments, does applications, does push hands, works also with one of Nabil's students, Ryan, at Philly Chen Tai Chi. And then he comes back, and he's been doing that for a couple years now. He's like, hey, I'm going to be up for a day. I was like, Dad, do you want to do some Xingyi? Because that's another internal art. I was thinking he wants to do some Xingyi. He's like, no, I kind of listen to your show a lot, and it's I like the way you talk about Wing Chun, and I've always been curious about it. And so I showed him really real basics, and then, got a feeling of where he is in his body, because, Wing Chun's very tactile.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt where he was in his body, where he's strong in his movement and where it might differ from Wing Chun. And I'm like, okay, well, here's some applications. Here's some drills. I even had my Mok Jong set up in the living room. Nice. And so he got to take a run through the Mok Jong and do some things like that. We did a little bit of the weapons. I kind of gave him the sample platter of Wing Chun. And then, because he was used to skill-based and principle learning, I could go through, and he's like, well, we have this over here. Do you have something similar? I'm like, sure, we've got this here. This is how it's similar. You're going to know how it's different. I can show you why Wing Chun uses this for that concept. But your reference in Chen Tai Chi, which I don't have, will tell you, if it's similar, if it's different. But each of these respected systems kind of have their own operating functions.
Yeah.
The cell phone is not the laptop, is not your advanced PC. Is not, some companies have the notebook where it doesn't really have a really big, thing going on. It runs off the internet. So all of those have computer-esque qualities, but Chen Tai Chi is not Wing Chun and vice versa. But there'll always be overlap because, God willing, you were blessed with 2 functioning arms and 2 functioning legs and a body that can move well. Well, then we fall under principles of, posture, structure, gravity, all those other things.
Yeah.
And so again, there's temperature, there's the pans, there's all this other stuff. Your Chen Tai Chi might be fine dining French cuisine, and Wing Chun might be some really high quality Hong Kong street food, but they're both delicious for what they are, so.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I've heard that before, and I didn't know if, the origin of that.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
so super quick on the Kuen Kuit, each Wing Chun school will have different ones. Like it's favoritisms, right?
Yeah.
The Mo Yat lineage, Mo Yat was kind enough for Yip Man. He actually carved or had somebody carved. I think he might have carved them. But the chops where you put some ink in.
Oh yeah.
They're stone and you do your little stamps.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of those with the Kuen Kuit and the various ones. We have 5 main ones.
Okay.
And then we have little adjacent ones, little floaties. But we have 5 main that run the whole unarmed system.
Oh wow. And and depending on like the lineage or the style, the variation, then you operate under a different one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Most of them, some of them have some that are. I know most of them that actually use the Kuen Kuit always use sunken elbow protect center line. That's part of the Kuen Kuit, and it's one of the major operating systems, not just of Sianam Tao. It's really presented in the first form, but it's in Chum Q, it's in Buji, it's in the dummy. It's a principle that it's going to pop up all over the place. So that's one that most Yip Man lineages have.
Okay. I got to stick on this for just a few more seconds to make sure I
It's
understand.
Because we got Chi Sao.
Yeah.
Sticking.
So, Chi Sao, sticky hands. So this is a more in-depth set of like not basic, but like principles, kind of like a boxer. Your first rule of boxing, protect yourself
Keep your hands
at all
up.
times. Keep your hands up. Yeah. So it's like that then.
Yes.
A little more in depth.
It's your job or your Sifu's job, if you're in a good school, that they will show you a way to look in the forms where that concept is found.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you start making a link between, that concept is also in our guard hands. And that concept is also in Chi Sao.
Okay, now
And that concept is also in the wooden dummy. So maybe these principles, maybe this Kuen Kuit is kind of something that it's a theme or it's a string that links all the different pieces. Because too many people will have a bunch of drills. We're just doing stationary drills. And then they can maybe move some footwork into them, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe they use them as entries. We haven't made contact. How do we make contact? Maybe they have some Chi Sao. Maybe they have some Dan Chi Sao, single sticky hands, where they're working with one hand, and then that other person is working with one hand, cooperated. Well, what do you do with this, though? Doesn't make any sense unless you start to realize that, well, maybe the unarmed forms that we do follow those similar patterns. So maybe instead of, like if you're playing football and you're going man versus man, maybe it's a little more like a zone defense. And if I stick these hands in these areas and start to move around the area, well, then I don't have to know if they're doing Krav Maga or Tai Chi or Wing Chun or Xing Yi. I just need to cover the area.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, so I have a couple questions. Some of them are long.
Amazing.
Some of them are long.
Cool.
First one's going to be from Scott. He's a student at our school, and
Awesome.
I didn't get his permission to use his last name, but
That's okay.
so we'll just go with
say Scott from the school.
yeah. He's being that I'm just going to read it like he wrote it to me. Being that I'm 68, I would like to know, as we all are getting older, what changes have you noticed, and how or what steps do you keep to keep at your best level?
Great question. Awesome. So this one's going to be like less Wing Chun for me and more overall functioning.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Wing Chun is very good for helping de-stress the nervous system.
Okay.
I think it's very good in fine motor skill work, almost like brain surgeon, where you can't breathe and you're barely moving. Or like I work for Rolex. I don't know if you know this,
No.
but like all of those little, if you open the back of a Rolex, there's like 37 moving pieces in there. And most of these experts that make Rolex watches, they actually hand machine these little tiny, and they have masks on. They can't breathe because they've got these tweezers and they're doing all this stuff. So this is that fine motor work, right? So that's what I really believe Wing Chun does. And also you're going to get some good cardio out of it too. But I've also found that the alternative weightlifting that I do, it doesn't have to be the heavy Indian clubs. It can be the light Indian clubs. It can be the Tai Chi ball. It can be all these things. But just like athletes have cool down days, they'll have days where they stretch or go for long walks, or maybe do some yoga, things like that. I think we also need a supplementary practice, or if you're just trying to have your martial art do the work for you, I really believe that as we get older, you need a great warm-up. Mm-hmm. If he can get to the school ahead of time, a good 25 or 30-minute warm-up is super important. Yeah, lube up the joints, get ready for impact. And, it doesn't have to be like calisthenic based. There's some great people out there putting out great material. My friend Sonny Mannon, who's down in, how would you pronounce this, Dustin? He pronounced it like 4 different ways for me, but I'm not sure. Is it Visalis or California? Visalia, yeah.
Yes.
So Sonny's down in Visalia, and he teaches Swai Jiao, which is a jacketed wrestling of
yes.
China. Yeah. He lived in Beijing for almost a decade learning it. Wow. He does some really cool Tai Chi, and then he does Bagua, which is a really complicated art. That's one of the ones that I do. That's my supplemental vitamin. Mm-hmm. And then he also does some basic Kung Fu. He did Mantis for a good long time, Northern Mantis. And so he has that kind of as his introductory thing. And then his wife actually teaches really advanced yoga. But he's got some great free tutorials that you might pass on to your friend.
Okay.
So it's Sonny Mannon, Sonny, and then Mannon, just like it phonetically sounds. You can find him on YouTube and his free tutorials, or you can find his new page, which I think has over 1 million views within less than a year. Yeah. Dang. It's called Rooted Alchemy.
Okay.
And he has a bunch of different like 20 and 30-minute tutorials on Tai Chi. And so having like a supplemental, like before, it's funny because John came over and we actually did some of the Wing Chun knives today. And I know he wasn't feeling great because he had really worked his legs out the other day. And so, we had to cancel and we moved it to Friday. I'm like, how are your legs? He's like, it was still a little tight yesterday, but I'm feeling pretty good today. So I'm like, cool. So we did like a 30-minute warm up with some Tai Chi ball, some of the light Indian clubs. And then we got to work with the knives. And he's like, I'm so glad we did a warm up. So I really believe, having a good warm up is essential practice. And then the other thing too is, as much as the warm up's good, you might have a cool down. If you guys sparred, if you guys did a really hard calisthenic day, or you were, just banging away with the forearms and stuff like that, having a cool down, even if you need to stay like another 10 or 15 minutes if the school's open, and having that cool down process, I also think that's good for the nervous system too, because, you get really pumped up and charged when you're sparring, but do we really want to carry that kind of energy home to our, spouses and our kids? So warm up and cool down has been a big thing for me. Great question.
Yeah. I liken that to like, if we were to go outside and play catch right now and we're standing as far apart as we could and you just chuck a ball as hard as you can, you ain't going to be able to do that for very long. You got to start off a little closer together, kind of get loose, get warmed up, and then you can throw the bomb, but you just go out and rip a 40-yard pass right off the get-go.
Yeah.
You might get one or two, and then you're going to start really feeling it. Unless you 100%. Do that kind of thing every day and you're not 40 plus years old. Unfortunately, we're all in that club.
Happens quick.
Yes, it does. One last question from Scott. As you age, what are the movements you find difficult to perform? And how do you deal with this?
Did you see that?
Yeah.
None of them. I will say this though, and I will say this. I constantly am always working on mobility and trying to get better at the movements. I think one thing that I love with the Chinese model, and it's becoming really popular right now, which just because it's popular doesn't mean the people that are going to start peddling it, and I mean peddling, are actually good at it and have taken the time to invest to understand it. You need somebody that's been in it a good long time. They can understand their body and they can, understand what you're going through and kind of maybe tailor, okay, draw back on this movement. Don't go as deep or, do this and that. You really need someone to kind of dial you in. And if Scott makes it out to the seminar, for both of them, I'm, the one that I do privately for you guys, I will be doing a 20 to 30 minute warm up for everybody.
Okay.
So if he likes anything from there, make sure everyone that comes out brings a notebook and you can jot that down.
Yeah.
But your warm ups are wildly important. Bagua was a big learning curve. I mentioned this on, I got to be on Sensei Paul Coffey's Keep Kicking podcast a little while ago. And I want to say Owen is my third or fourth Bagua instructor. And I don't think I had the body intelligence to understand Bagua. I was really good at Wing Chun. Wing Chun is dynamic in its own skill set, but Bagua and Xingyi move in multiple planes all at the same time. And sometimes you have to tear those planes apart, but eventually you want all three of them moving at the same time. And I want to say almost 11 years of Xingyi. And Owen's like, hey, do you know how Xingyi's made your Wing Chun better? And it wasn't that I was blending them. What I was doing was I was getting deeper into the motions of my body and deeper into the tissues with the Xingyi. And so I had more control consciously over different parts of my body. Not just the speed, but up and down, left and right. Kind of like UFO movement, right? I want to be able to accelerate really quick at you or, stop on a dime and then go up,
Yeah.
Or come back in this three-dimensional movement. That's that UFO movement while I'm turning in space, all these other things. So once I got some of that intelligence into my body, I could really start to, with the Wing Chun, I could isolate the hand movements, but not forget that there's a whole person holding up that attached.
Yeah.
And so I had that kind of body awareness. Think about it. If you go to the gym and you pick up a dumbbell, most people completely check out and all they're thinking about is curling in their bicep. They're thinking about the motion and they're thinking about the muscle. But if it's a bigger weight, I start to integrate the other side of the body that's not holding the weight with a counter force. And so I've got the whole body grabbing this dumbbell.
Yeah, not
just the hand.
arm. Yeah.
And I think that's a different way. You're going to be a different. I don't know. This sounds silly. You're almost a different person when you start integrating that into your movements, and when you can trace that back into your martial arts. It's such a high step forward. At first, you're not going to be able to do that all the time in your martial movements, and it might just be one movement to one movement. Okay, I've got my good punch out. I know where my chambering hand is. I can feel the chest open up and the back close. I know where my head is in space. I know where my stance is. So you go through this little checklist and boom, I got a good full body. The whole body's attached. But then when you throw the next punch in a different direction, you might need to go through that checklist again. So it starts off slow for that integration, but over time it just happens. And it's the integration that you're thinking about. Unless the application, you can do, that's how you start taking a movement and finding multiple applications with the movement. So, so I've been blessed. I can do almost everything, but I will tell you that I'm still trying to get better and better and better at the circle walking because it's such a dynamic practice. People are like, oh, you're just walking in a circle. Well, you're balancing all these principles. It's the string of pearls, just like in the Wing Chun, right? Mm-hmm. And you're trying to put constant force output while you're walking in a circle.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it takes skill. So I've been lucky enough, dragon's a little hard. I don't do the jumping dragon. In Shingi, we do this split body thing and you get real low in the stance. And I can still get pretty low, but I don't do the jumping anymore. My joints just don't like that. So I adjust it. I dial it back. So yeah, you just have to really listen to your body. And, I will say this too. I used to try to lift heavy every day or try to train hard every day. Now it's like I lift heavy once a week and then I do martial arts heavy once a week. Like really just go all out, whether it's hitting a bag or putting Maria together and having her beat me up, the wooden dummy.
Yeah.
But good training has a lot of different faces.
Yes. Well, even like professional fighters, if they sparred every single day heavy, they're going to get injured. They're going to wear out, and you can only do that so long before things start to fall apart. So yeah, I totally agree. 100% there. Yeah, that was a great answer there.
Thank you.
Okay. Tom asked, now this is my son. He's 11.
Oh, cool.
So,
yeah.
So, being that I know very little about Wing Chun, aside from the Ip Man movie, what would you say makes Wing Chun a standout from other martial arts?
Great question. I think we control or have access to training in a range that most people don't. Most people are either like a kickboxing range, maybe Muay Thai, that kind of range before contact, I call it. Mm-hmm. Or you're full on grappling range, right? We're right on top of each other.
Not in between.
In between is our range. Uh-huh. So we live in the middle area. We live in the middle ground. And I think we have a really good way to go from far range to middle range. And then if we're encroached too much, we can go from close range back to middle range. Nice. I also think Wing Chun is very efficient in transitions, right? If I'm outside of you and if I'm flanking you and I want to be inside of you, I have tons of different ways to do that. How do I transition? Or if my right hand is in front and I want my left hand in front without exposing my center line, I have a whole process of doing that. So it's a very good transitional art. And it's a very good art to read tactile information to decide, can I just blast after contact?
Yeah.
Tactile comes in after contact. Maybe we've stalemated each other. You've thrown a quick punch and I've stopped you, but I didn't get a hit in. So now we're at a stalemate. That tactile information tells me where to transition to put myself into a better position. I don't want to transition, right in front of your fist, or what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the whole concepts help me transition into a better position in that middle range. And we do have ways to transition from middle to long, or middle to extremely close. So if it was some of the shining stars that make up Wing Chun, we're middle ranged art, and we're very proficient at transitions.
Nice.
This didn't work. Let's try that. This didn't work. Let's try that. This didn't work. Let's try that.
Yeah. We got options. That's cool. Options are good. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Last two.
Okay.
Yeah.
We blazed through these. We've done a pretty good job.
Yeah. Last two questions are mine.
Okay, cool.
Knowing that we will have some folks with little to no exposure to Wing Chun at this seminar, what would be the first thing that you would teach, like your go-to thing to give somebody an idea, like all encompassing, like, here's your thing?
The first thing that we're going to show is the Hoisek test, because it shows you how to take this information and make it directly yours. I think too many people, you're doing this system, and so you have to pound yourself into a mold that's that system.
This thing.
Yeah. But Wing Chun, at least the way I was taught, starts off with a little drill that we'll do cooperatively, very cooperatively, that shows you where Dustin's range is in Wing Chun, where Tom's range is in Wing Chun, and how Tom is your son.
Yeah.
How he could deal with somebody taller than him. He will have to. This is a variation off of our guard hands. So if it's me, you can see how I can see my chin in between my hands. If it's somebody taller, I want to raise the hands up. If it's somebody shorter, I'm going to bring them down, and that's where my guard hands will be with somebody shorter. That's where my guard hands will be with somebody my size. That's where my guard hands will be with somebody taller. But as you can see, the elbow is still sunk and at the angle. So I don't have to give up the sunken elbow to do this adjustment. And this is a variation of the guard hands. This is Randel's ideal range. That's my ideal range to do Wing Chun, because I have two sunken elbows. And it's also a height adjuster. And so that also links to how we do the Iji Kimyan Ma, or the goat catching stance. And so the stance is your legs, your posture is your spine. We'll work on that too. And then the hands are the final piece to feel how force is coming into them, so we can take that force and take it into the ground. So Hoisek is going to be the first thing. Okay. And then we're going to learn about what is Lin Wan Kyun, or the chain punch.
Okay.
And what it really is. Are we really punching? Well, you're going to have to come to the seminar and find out. Are we really punching? What is the multi-purpose use of this tool? Because if you see it, you're like, oh, he's got a closed fist. It must be a punch. But maybe there's more uses than that. I can do it with open hand. That's still recycling the hand. I can do it with one closed and one open. Switch it up. Right? There's both closed. Am I using only the palm side? Am I using only the knuckle side? Am I using this side of the forearm? What if I use different parts of the arm and did that same elliptical motion? Would I get a different result? What do I get from that result? What does that do? What does that do for me? And so we can start asking ourselves these questions, because it's principle based. Maybe you don't have to learn all the terminology. Well, this shape, yeah, I got a name for it. But how it relates to your balance and your structure is more important than you memorizing the name of it. If memorizing the name of it helps, well, I got the name too. but I'd rather get you dialed in around the Wing Chun concepts than you worrying about the names of the concepts and the ideas and things like that. So
sweet. I'm liking it. Okay. This one's, again, this one's for me. And this is kind of a long-winded one, but being that we do Wu Ying Dao, very obscure martial art, the common question when we're talking to people, different martial artists, is, well, what is that? And my teacher, Blaine, he talks about his go-to thing is a technique that we talk about and teach. It's called a 1-2-3-2-1. And it's basically, it's his idea that it ellipses what we are in a nutshell. And it's basically a transition from a kicking range to a punching range to close, like elbows, knees, and then back out of that. So it's
beautiful.
A way that we use to get in and then get back out. And I think you pretty much answered this question, but it's what he would show somebody. It's what Blaine would show somebody if he was teaching, somebody what Wu Ying Dao is. What would be something that you would teach to give somebody an idea of Wing Chun? And I kind of asked that one already, and you kind of answered it, but
how about an application?
Okay.
Pak Sao.
Bingo.
Pak Sao.
That's what I think of when I think of Wing Chun, either Pak Sao or Bong Sao, something like that.
I can scoot people across the floor with it, and it's not a brag, but the thing is, and you've worked with
Harinder Singh,
Guru Harinder, and you found out, you're like, wait, Pak Sao can be an attack, and the thing is I have a certain part of the arm that I apply Pak Sao on. The reason I apply it on that part of the arm, well, you're just going to have to come to the seminar and find out. But if it's applied properly, I'm not just stopping your arm, I'm attacking your balance. Mm-hmm. And that is the other major thing. Sorry, Tom, I forgot to answer that one too.
Yeah.
At least the way I was presented to it, and I really believe this, is Wing Chun attacks your balance while protecting mine.
I like that thought.
I am protecting my balance or my structure while attacking yours. And most people look at Pak Sao as, oh, you're stopping his hit, or you're already in deflection. Mm-hmm. No. I am palm striking your balance. Pak Sao is a palm strike. If your arm wasn't there, I just pop you in the chest or pop you in the face with a palm strike. Your arm happens to be in the way. But yes, I am targeting a part on the arm, but my real target is your spine and your balance, because I'm trying to knock you out of your structure. Yeah. So you think that you're getting the hit? No, I'm actually getting the first hit. Because as you come in with your hit, you're aiming to punch me in the nose. I'm aiming to destroy your entire structure. You're looking at a point. I'm looking at all of you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put somebody in the palm of my hand. And by put them in the palm of my hand, I mean, my palm is the attachment point. And I'm trying to put my entire mass through that point and put all of that mass into you, where you're looking for a target on my nose or here or here or here. And you're trying to stiffen up and throw hard. I'm trying to get a hold of your mass.
Yeah. Oh, man. I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Something that you said, and I might have actually answered it with Tom, but I'd like to say it again. You said, hey, what if somebody's from a different lineage of Wing Chun? Or what if, they don't know any Wing Chun? Can they still get something from the seminar? And I want to say a really, really positive yes. Yes. I work with 3 or 4 other people that do Wing Chun that are actually Sifus. Mm-hmm. And I do what I call I like to call myself the non-denominational Wing Chun guy. Right? It's like, oh, well, he's doing, he's Protestant Wing Chun, and this guy over here, Southern Baptist Wing Chun, and this guy, might be Catholic Wing Chun. It's like, well, you still, believe that Christ died on the cross for you and accept him as your savior. Start there. Start from the core and work your way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've got a stove. Are we cooking Chinese food, Italian food? What are we cooking? I don't know.
Let's eat.
What kind of stove? Yeah. Is it a griddle? Is it a griddle? Is it open flame? Is it gas? Okay, I can go from there. Okay, yeah, but I've got a heat source. Mm-hmm. Now I need to know what kind of pans and what kind of food we're cooking. Now I can move on to the next step. So I try to generalize everything down without taking away any of the goodies.
Yeah.
That's a sweet potato. That's a basic ingredient. You know what I mean? Here's a pound of chuck roast. That's a basic ingredient. Here's a beautiful yellow onion. That is a basic ingredient. Here's some fresh garlic. We're going to make a pot roast. I like to use sweet potatoes for that. It's pretty good, But yeah, it is basic ingredients. Know your basic ingredients. Know your temperatures. And so, yeah, well, I'm doing a whole seminar on a hand shape. I will tell everyone at the end of the seminar what the names are.
Okay.
And some of them don't make sense. You're like, why is this called that? I don't know. I wasn't there when it was invented. I can tell you the Chinese name and I can tell you what it means, but sometimes finding out the name of something doesn't always mean that it's going to clarify what it is. Mm-hmm. I believe the functions of the hands are important and how they can link together and how maybe my bridge is actually attacking your bridge. I'm not hitting your arm. What I mean by attacking your bridge is your body is connected to that hand. So again, even my bridges are trying to uproot your balance or oversync your balance. What do I mean by that? So I might be so heavy coming down with this arm on top of your guard arms that it might crush your whole structure downward. And I don't have to raise up. I don't even always have to push back, but sometimes it's a downward force that destroys your balance and structure. So those are these basic principle, the basic cooking, the basic music methods. Learn your scales. Get a good ear, Learn to play the piano or the guitar really well. Then maybe you go from guitar to piano. It's a whole different instrument, and the fingering is going to be completely different. It's a whole different spatial setup, but your scales don't change.
Yeah, the notes are still the notes.
The notes are still the notes. The instrument changes. You have to adapt yourself to the new instrument. That's all it's going to be. I'm going to try to show you guys this new instrument with universal scales. Yeah. Balance, speed, distance, timing, and movement's my last one. I'll explain that when you come to the seminar.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, and how they all integrate. Yeah, so if you already know Wing Chun and you want to see just a different perspective, come on down. I'll try to give you a different perspective, see what you think. And if you don't know anything about Wing Chun, come on down. If you already have a martial arts background, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I can work with you. Krav Maga, I can work with you. It doesn't matter. I really have worked with a lot of people. Dustin, I've been on vacation this week, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about this before I came on. So Sunday, I drove down to Denver, and I taught 2.5 hours of Wing Chun with the Back Alley Wing Chun Club. So that was, yes. Tuesday, my buddy John Rubio came over, and we did some knife work for 3 hours. Or actually, I drove down and I picked on him. We did some knife work and we did some long pole work for 3 hours.
Dang.
Yeah. I took Tuesday off because of the fires here in Colorado are just awful. And so it's been bothering my allergies. And, the air quality is dog doo-doo. Yeah. So I took Tuesday off. Wednesday, I had Angel, my Chen Tai Chi guy. We went for 4 hours. I had the dummy set up. We did a little bit of the knife work, and not so much knife versus knife or anything like that. But it's like, how does this tool help open the body and loosen the joints? Things like that. So we did that. We did some forms. We did applications. We had a great meal. We talked a lot. Had a great time. We even took a drive afterwards. I had my car, and I'm like, let's go for a joyride. So we talked about training and teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I probably hung out with Angel for 5.5 hours, probably total.
Nice.
Let's see. That was Wednesday. Thursday, Sensei Kenneth Knight of the Casper Dojo and Ken Fu TV. If you're not familiar with Ken Fu TV, go check out Kenneth Knight of the Casper Dojo on YouTube at Ken Fu TV. I was honored to have him drive 3.5 hours from Casper, Wyoming, down to train with me. So it was Sensei Kenneth Knight, Sensei Matthew Apsicardu of Sanren Martial Arts, and the Aikigaiwe Blogspot. Aikigaiwe Blogspot. Check him out. He just had a dynamite interview over at Conversations on Karate with my friends Greg and Susie. They're out of UK. And he is their last episode, Matthew Apsicardu. He also has a martial arts publishing company, like for books.
Oh.
So those two guys are some of the most talented human beings that I've ever met. Sifu Russ Smith's also one of those guys, but those guys came over to work with me in stuff that, they didn't have. I had, but I was still blown away. I'm like, they can hop on an online class, or, they can hop online with somebody else, but they worked with me. We did dynamic stretching and some basic introductions to standing practice, which I've had 3 main teachers and a lot of teachers that did standing practice that I got a little bit of information here, a little bit of information here. I've had about 5 teachers like that. But I've been doing standing practice in the Chinese martial arts since 1999. So that's 27 years that I've been working, 26. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Because I think October of 98 is when I started Wing Chun. So that'll be 28 years this October. So yeah, and that summer, my freshman summer, I started Pak Mei in Longmont, Colorado, and I was still living in the mountains. So I had to drive 2.5 hours one way and 2.5 hours the other every Tuesday, and it was worth it. I loved it. We did 2 hours of that. Then Sensei Matt had to run. So Sensei Ken and my roommate and I, we all had lunch. And then I taught some Wing Chun for an hour. And Ken showed me an hour of his amazing, I think it's called Kasag. It's a Filipino art that he does.
Oh, cool.
Dude, he's brilliant at that. He really is brilliant. So we did that. So that was a 4-hour day, and I was shot. And I took Friday off. I did my own training yesterday, and then I just worked with John Rubio another 2 hours today. So I think out of like 8 or 9 days off, there were only 2 or 3 days that I wasn't either training or teaching. I did 1 day of training and 5 days of teaching. So, I'm a little short, chubby guy, but I do live this life. Like, I love it. I love teaching. I love training. And I mentioned my friend Sifu Russ Smith of the Buran-Kan Dojo, and he's the one that, coined this or maybe made it his own words, but I've borrowed it from him. And I believe this 100%, that teaching is dynamically a different skill set than the thing it is. So if I do Wing Chun, that doesn't mean I'm a good Wing Chun teacher.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a master chef, that does not mean that I'm a master chef that's also a teacher. So my first Sifu in Wing Chun, Sifu Mayer, my only Sifu in Wing Chun, he has a PhD in educational psychology and cognitive development. And so he taught Wing Chun as a thinking system and a problem-solving system as much as a fighting system. And so I love that. And I was almost a middle school English teacher because I'm crazy. Yeah, working with middle schoolers is herding cats, baby. But I did Metro State, and I don't know if they still have it anymore, which is down at, I think it's Metro University now, which is downtown Denver of all places. That was where my second college I was attending after I graduated from Mesa.
Okay.
I was working on a 4-year degree in 2 years. They had a fast track teacher's license. You came out with a Bachelor of Arts in education, but you already had to have something that you could become a teacher with: history, mathematics. Mine was English. So that's what I was going to do. And the teaching was intense and it was rich, but I loved it. And I had 2 or 3 classes in curriculum design, and I just ate that up. And so I really have been, ever since I started Wing Chun, within a year, I was one of the assistant instructors. And I've just been working on this skill set of teaching ever since I've started. And I love teaching as much as I love training. And so that's what I'd like to show Blaine Court School and anybody else involved in Wu Ying Dao. I think they're going to come away with something. Or if you're coming Sunday and you already have a martial arts background, Xingyi, Bagua, Tai Chi, any of the Chinese arts, doesn't have to be Chinese arts. It can be Taekwondo. I don't care what it is. I want to try to give you something that makes you look at your own art and not say, oh, I'm missing something. Say, I can add this in. I got a new spice to put on my meat for grilling or stew or whatever. Yeah. I've got, because that's what a principal does. It should be something that, maybe I can carry and transplant and integrate it. That's the word I want.
I love
integrate it.
I love that you said that, because if you like anything, right, you pick any hobby, whatever it is, cooking, painting, whatever. If you get a new thing for that hobby, even if it's not directly related to like your specific niche, it's still cool, right? Like if you're a woodworker and you go and find a new hammer or a new lathe or a new, specific to a specific type of woodworking, even if you don't use it, you're still like, hey, look at this new thing I got. It's cool. I'll probably use it once, but it doesn't matter. I have it. It's cool. It's some new experience related to the thing that you like.
And then the other use of it is not just for the use of the function of it, like on the Marshall, but again, it's that perspective to, well, maybe I don't need that hand shape, but maybe I can look at something that I already have in my system and see, hey, this hand shape uses it. Well, we have a hand shape that's similar, but it's just closed-fisted. So I can use all those things that Randel taught me with my Wu Ying Dao shape or my Kempo shape. Exactly. Randel has something that's, so it is not just looking at the new shiny object, but what do you already have with a new perspective? That I think is super important.
Yeah. Awesome, my friend. Dude, I can't wait for you to get out here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm making a short list of all the Chinese restaurants we can hit. Whatever else is up for your alley there. But yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a fun time. Dude, 10 hours of training.
At least, because, we've got, the 2 private seminars, if I get, God willing, the plane lands right, and, it's a little sketchy these days, but if the plane lands right, I'm going to be teaching that first night for your black belts and anybody else that's a high level instructor. That way I'm going to train my assistants. So that's the other thing too, is that second day for your school, the seminar for your school, the students that attend will already have their friends and their senseis dialed in to help me teach. And so you won't just have one teacher in the room teaching this material. You have a bunch of different teachers. I may be more familiar with it than those guys or gals, but you'll hear a familiar voice that will put it in their own perspective. And so that is super helpful too, is each of these senseis will be able to digest some of this knowledge and sleep on it. And then I'll take the lead, and then I can go around, start some groups I'll come around and dial everybody in to make sure they're on the same page. And if you do come to the seminar, I will say, everyone bring a notebook. Bring a notebook and pen. Take notes on this stuff. Even if it is videotaped and even if it's video recorded, I think writing it down is so important, and it will help absorb that knowledge. And then the open to public seminar, that one, it's as much as let's test myself for how well I know this stuff after 28 years, because I will be flying solo. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably present the opening of the seminar to the class. I'll have one of the black belts come up. I'll run through it with them for 5 minutes. I'll run it, and then I'll have them steal some people and go off and teach it. And then I'll do the next thing with another black belt. It could be somebody that's visiting. If everything works out, my friend Sifu Chris and his student Paul will be up also, and they're both Wing Chun. They do multiple Chinese styles. Sifu Chris teaches a Shaolin-based method of Wing Chun. But we got along famously. I met him at the Chun Con, and he's going to try to come up with his student Paul. I really like both those guys. They're very high level. But yeah, I can show those guys within 3 minutes, and they can get the flavor for it, and they can go off and help the next people with it. So Sunday is going to be, does he really know his stuff, and can he really? and you know what? It'd be cool if a lot of people came. If we capped it off at the 35 or 40, because the most I've ever taught to. There was a seminar I showed up at. There was a joint seminar, and it was 4 of us, and I was the only one that showed up. Yeah, it was a disaster for the host of the seminar. And they're like, Randel, we don't know what we're going to do. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to do all the stuff. And you and I, if everyone feels like they got their money's worth, they'll pay you. And then we can just, divvy it out between the 2 of us, because those 3 people gypped you.
Yeah.
And so instead of teaching for 2.5 hours, I taught for 10. I was tired. I will say I was in my early 30s, so I could handle that a little bit more with an hour lunch break in the middle. So it was 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. But I was taxed and tired. But it was well worth it. Not for the money, but to be there for those people that had expected to learn something. Yeah. I'm like, okay, it's just me. But if you want to learn and you feel if it's worthwhile, let's go from there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And at that seminar, I had 75 people.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. It was me and 75 people. So what I did is I had 4 people work with me, and I had the entire group sit around and watch us. They didn't sit more than 5 minutes. 4 people took 10 people, or one person took 10. One person took 10. One person took. So there was some leftover, and then I worked with another group of 4 people, and then I got everybody up and running. And so for the first 45 minutes, we did the one drill, and everyone got to work with everyone in the room in these little pods. And then I would go around and be like, okay, everybody listen up. So the whole room would turn around. Here's some more information. You can do this, this, and this with it. Or you need to pay attention to this part of your arm, or you need to pay attention to this part of that person because you're trying to go around it. So I'd add 1 or 2 more details. And then they'd need to integrate those 1 or 2 more details into the drill. And we did that for 45 minutes. We took a little 5-minute break, and then I introduced another one. And then we went through that for 45 minutes. Then we took a little break, and then I showed how the first 2 things connect. That was the next 2 hours, because they got multiple applications off of just 2 things connecting.
Very cool. Very cool. Mm-hmm. That's a great way to do that, and get somebody, help them out, get them going, and then okay, now you take these people. For me, if I learn something, it doesn't stick until I'm doing the thing itself. Yeah.
Tactile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very tactile. That's awesome. I like that whole thing.
Yeah,
man. Well, that that will not happen. We will not have people to teach that won't show up. It's all you, but you're going to have plenty of help there. And dude, like I said, can't wait. I'm like a kid on Christmas, counting down the days.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too, my friend. And again, I might have mentioned this to you, and I didn't mean it as a, like used car salesman. But if everyone has a great time, I would love to, and we get enough support with this. And on my end, I will be also reaching out to the greater, community. If we get enough support and people have a good time, I would love to come out even just once a year, because, the way Sifu Mayer taught our group when I was a little 18-year-old fella is he would come out and he would show 5 or 6 things and their permutations and the principles that held them together. And in a day or 2 days, he would give us 2 or 3 years worth of teaching.
Wow.
And it sounds weird. And it sounds not possible until you experience it. And you're like, that's what he means. That's what he's talking about. So it's one of those things. It's like, if nobody knew what chocolate ever tasted like, and then you get it in your mouth, how do you describe it? If you're the first person to ever have a taste of something that no one's ever tasted before, you'd probably describe it as it's kind of like this, 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 but it is very much its own thing. So you got to have a taste of it, before you can kind of say what it is.
Yeah. Exactly. I was sitting there trying to think, like, how would I describe that? I have no clue. That's awesome, my friend. Hey, any last minute thing you want to say? Any other? I don't want to cut you off, but we are getting to be right at our
no. We're right at. Just for the wider audience, and this will actually, I'll share this with my crew here. So the Back Alley Wing Chun Club that I teach down at 5280 Shaolin, this will be my last year. They will either be moving on to new teachers or they'll be coming up to work with me. My currency is mileage. Mm-hmm. I don't mean I can be making more money doing driving. I don't mean that. I mean that I've been a professional driver for almost 17 years. And in a work week, I can drive up to 700 miles in a bus on a fixed route, not leaving a city. And my mother lives 340 miles away from me. And I try to see her. I need to see her more. I don't see her enough. I need to see her more. I'm partial.
Yeah.
So that's 340 miles. And then my school that I teach at in Denver is 110 miles. I have enough private students now that people are driving up to see me. And so in the next year, 2027, I will have classes in the Kitchen Kuen. God willing, we get these fires under control. I also teach in some of the parks here in Longmont. But I've been teaching 22 years. So these days, if people want this information, I make the prices super affordable. And I've been teaching for a long time, and I'm always trying to get better as a teacher. And so you can absorb the information more. But if people want this, they will have to come to me. So that's my adult step into the adulting direction.
Yeah.
And it's not a bitter thing. I love Sifu John and Sifu Chris, who run the school. I think they're fantastic men and great martial arts teachers. But after, I taught in Parker Kung Fu, which doesn't exist anymore. I was driving down from Grand Lake, and that was like 220 miles round trip. And that was from 2009 to 2012, 2013. And then I've been driving down from, it's 110 miles from 2002 till 2006. So for almost a decade, I've been, putting in the miles to teach. And now I've got enough people that are working with me that they need to put in the miles, and I'll focus on the teaching and make sure you get good material for your trip.
Yeah. Awesome.
Dustin, great to see you.
Thank you.
We'll get this out there, share it with the group, and hopefully we're going to meet some new friends at our seminar that's open to the public that Sunday. And then I'm looking forward to meeting all of my awesome people with Wu Ying Dao. Whether maybe we can get some of the folks from, where is it, Tillamook? And also
Tillamook and Wisconsin. And
Yeah.
I've let both of them know. I pester them ever so often with new stuff. And it's coming due to pester them again and let them
Sounds
know
good.
it's out
Well,
there.
when this episode comes out, share it with them, and maybe there might be something in there that sparks their interest. And another big thing too is, I know we're coming to our end, but I want to leave everybody with this, especially my Wu Ying Dao people.
Yeah.
I know that you guys do. What was the Korean style?
So it's Kong Su.
So you have Kong Su
and Wing Chun.
So it's a mix between the two.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is, I could see some people walking into your school and say, "Hey, you're doing it wrong." I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is, let me show you how I use it. You guys show me how you use it. Let's find where it's similar. Let's find where it's different. And then you have access to both now. And find out, if you like it, maybe you want to integrate it. Find out what works for you. See if it still holds up and it's still fittable in the Wu Ying Dao concept and system. And if you can use both or 3 or 4 of the same thing, then use it. Have that variety. It's lemon pepper, cayenne pepper, black pepper, the pink peppercorns. It's all pepper, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. They're all distinct.
Dustin, thank you for your time, man.
Hey, thank you, friends. You heard it here. September 12th, 13th, Anderson, California, Blaine Courts Total Self-Defense. That's where we'll be having the seminar. You can find more information on that on details on our website, formlesspod.com. And we'll leave it there. Until next time.